Okay, so I think the big question that I've seen a lot of your interviews about what really happened and stuff, but was it a case where you were watching what was happening, how your very best friend was being manipulated by Gene? I've heard Andre Harrell, I think 2 weeks before he died, give an interview with Kenny Burns talking about how Gene came to his house at 6 in the morning to get the publishing from. So it's quite known that he was quite a tough character. You noticed what was happening, and was it like, and we see in some films where they all vote and say, yeah, we vote for you out, like they did to Bobby Brown? How did the exits happen?
Well, once I got married, I moved to Arlington, Virginia. Me and my wife we were young, moved to Arlington, Virginia. But I thought that wasn't a big problem because Gene lived in Virginia. So we were still going back and forth. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, it's only 3 to 4 hours. So I was always going back and forth anyway. But I noticed that a week or two passed by, I haven't heard from Aaron or Teddy. And this is after Gene gave us a little bit of our advance. And I was pissed about that. Why is Gene giving us our advance? Just wire it into our account. But Gene gave us our advance through Western Union. I'm like, I don't like this. That means he has POA. He has control of the bag. We don't. So I was already in Teddy's ear saying, this ain't right, man. So, and then he tried to get us to sign this thick ass contract before we actually got signed. It's just that Uptown Records, Andre Harrell moved so fast that once we signed the Uptown Records, that's when Gene hit us with his contract. So I wasn't going to sign that at all. So I noticed 1 or 2 weeks passed by, I haven't heard from Teddy, Gene. Even if I haven't heard from Gene, I should damn sure hear from Aaron and Teddy. Mm-hmm. So I called Gene up and said, yo, what's up? Y'all all right? Why y'all ain't calling me anything? We did the photo shoot, big photo shoot. We did all kind of stuff together. So as soon as I heard the tone of Gene's voice, I knew something wasn't right. Teddy never called me. Aaron never called me. Gene and I had a verbal, old-fashioned cussing out each other. I mean, it was old-fashioned. I mean, you. What are you trying to do? This is my group. No, it ain't. I'm taking the group. Wow. And I'm taking it and consider yourself not part of the group anymore. I was like, you. I said, you could have a group. God gave me that when he gave me, it was stuff that shouldn't have been said, that was said and whatever. And that was it. Now I'm out the group. I cried like a baby though. Once I got off that phone, I cried like a newborn baby because I was hurt.
Wow.
For so many different emotions. But once I finished crying, I spent 2 or 3 days crying. It was like, okay, it's time to get back on the horse and see what I can do. And I went right back because Gene and Teddy couldn't even get a record deal when we first started out. Me and a friend of mine named David Peasley, a white guy who wrote for Dance Music Magazine at the time, he had a relationship with Tommy Boy. And what started the bidding was that we went to Tommy Boy and we got the deal. And then I called Gene and Teddy back and said, we got a deal. Y'all couldn't get one, but I got one. It was just like that. But once we got that deal, Teddy and I had wrote a song for Orange Juice Jones, so we was connected to Russell as well, Russell Simmons. And Russell told Andre, go get them boys. So that's when Andre known for outbidding everybody back then, because he had the pocketbook. And even though we could verbally be committed to Tommy Boy, when Andre came along with that money, we had to say, okay, we're going with Uptown.
Wow.
So Gene and Teddy didn't even get the first record deal. Period. Teddy will tell you that if you confront him.
So you, after having this verbal with Gene and he says you're out the group, could he do that though? How could he kick you out the group? Well, did he have any power?
He couldn't really kick me out because I signed no contract, but by then he had Teddy and Aaron in the headlock. I didn't know whether they signed or whatever, but it was obvious that they signed. So that's what made me like, okay, I'm fighting a losing battle over here. If he got Aaron and Teddy, because one thing I knew, and it wasn't wisdom or whatever, it was just God giving me insight. I knew he wouldn't even pull that stunt if Teddy and Aaron would have said, nah, we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. But obviously, they agreed to it. That's facts. They agreed. You know, we with you, Gene. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't hold no animosity, but I'm giving you truth. Yeah. That's all. I'm telling the truth. And sometimes the truth can be harsh, but that's what they did. And basically left me, even though, you know, I've forgiven them, but at that particular time, whatever, they left me for dead. They didn't know. They didn't care. Wow. It was like they would focus on them. And I give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, we were young. But at the same time, loyalty and friendship, a character trait to me is a character trait. Yeah. We were babies together, so how could you do that?
It seems as if you were much stronger in character and determination. Even back then, you seem to have, because you said when you hit Aaron, you just quit your job. You went in and said, "We've got this," and getting the deal. It seems as if you had a different type of vision and that you weren't limited by circumstances at that point.
I don't give myself that much credit. There's certain times, anybody, if God anoints you and give you a vision and he protects you, we all do things sometime and have faith in something, and things are going to happen in a certain way for that particular moment. I don't know if I would do that now. I don't know. I could. It depends on the vision. It wasn't that I wanted it bad. I did want it bad, but at the same time, I knew it was something that was beyond me. To have that type of faith, to quit your job, to have that type of faith, to be criticized and whatever, you never gonna be nothing. You gonna do this, you gonna do that. To have that type of faith, even when I got put out of a group I love, you gotta remember, they had already Universal, MCA, Uptown Records. They had life-size posters of us. They already had posters of us. My face was on every CD and every album cover you could find. So it was hard for me even right after, in the aftermath, because everywhere I went, people expect even concerts, people expecting to see me, asking me questions, why you ain't on stage? Yeah. You sick? You this? What's going on? Wow. So it was hard. How do you explain that? And everybody that in New York, where we come from, everybody know that Timmy and Teddy was together ever since they was little. So how could your best friend do that? But right after their second album, The Future, then they got rid of Gene. So,
yeah, what was did they spin a story? Because as I said, what was the story because they must have had to answer questions when the video of Groovy came out. What was the story?
Timmy left the group. It was so many stories I can't even say. But one thing I do know, Timmy was disgruntled. Timmy left the group. Timmy got married. Timmy did this. Timmy did that. Timmy didn't get along with Aaron. Timmy didn't get along with Teddy. It was like, you don't have to try to, you already kicked me out. Now you want to bury me?
Yeah.
You know, so it was that's how I felt.
Yeah. How did you, full-time job, I'm a therapist, and I can't imagine the world, what that's like, you know, just you're creating something, your friends leaving you, the video's coming out, you've got the biggest track in the country, and you're not part of it. Did you then think it's over, or did you think I need to pack up and move forward? Because that was another question someone asked is, what did you do next? In the midst of all this,
I did think everything that I worked for, everything God gave to me is over. I did think that in the beginning. Yeah. But in minutes went by, and I said, okay, God, if you could give that to me, you could bless me with other things, because this wasn't my doing. I cried like a baby. I prayed, and then got back to work. And I called up the same people who we verbally committed to, and I was wondering, I'm thinking to myself, Monica Lynch and Tom Silverman ain't gonna even want to hear my voice. And my girl at the time said, call him. Just call him. You wouldn't know if you don't call him. And they had already heard the story that Gene Griffin, because everybody knew who Gene Griffin was and what type of person he was. So they knew it wasn't me. So Tom Silverman and Monica Lynch paid for my airfare, gave me money up front, said come down and do some demos for us. And the first demo I did was a song called After 12 that went on a Lean On Me movie for the Force MDs. And then they gave me $200,000 for my solo record.
Wow.
And then I met my partner, Alton Wilkie Stewart, and we started to produce. And we clicked, just like me and Aaron clicked. And his vocals was damn near better because he was a vocal connoisseur. And I wrote 2 songs for him and his solo record, So Cold and Headache, and got him a Sony deal. And then and Cassandra Mills and Lowell Salas brought us out to LA. And that's when we started working on everyone else.
So at this point, did the vision of being in a group, did you say, let's park it, I'm going to go solo, or what, or let me do production? What was going through your mind, and what path?
We were making so much money now producing that I had to do a solo record, because even though my mind was in many different places, because right when I was doing my solo album, I was still producing Belle Biv DeVoe and Ralph Tresvant and Stephanie Mills and Christopher Williams.
Wow.
So I didn't really give my solo record the attention it needed, but I didn't want to mess up another commitment with Tommy Boy.
Okay.
Because they had done gave me the money, so it was like, I love being in a group. God gave me that vision.
Yeah.
But I did it because the only reason I did that, I would have never done it. I mean, I would have done solo things within the group because I wanted us to be like the Black Beatles. I really did pray for that for a long time. I wanted us to be like the Black Beatles. But I did it because I had to, because I was ousted from the group and I didn't want to be in no more groups.
Okay.
For a long time.
Yeah. And so that's when went solo. And it's you do your solo album, you have to promote that. And then you said, you know what, let me go back and just focus on developing other artists.
Yes. It wasn't so much developing the artists. It was just writing, doing the same thing I did for Aaron and Teddy and myself. Hanging with them, like we did that with Christopher Williams. We did that with Belle Biv DeVoe. We did that with Stephanie. We did that with Ralph Tresvant. We did that with Bobby. Just hanging with them. Getting to know them and writing songs for them. Yeah,
I have to admit, the song that I would play if I've had a little argument with my girl back in the day was When Would I See You Smile Again? Because you listen to it and it kind of like, okay, I can be humble now and go and say I'm sorry. It was such it's a powerful track. The lyrics, they did the video well, but I was like, wow, this is really, I mean, what was happening when you thought about writing that? Because it's a powerful track, really, really.
Well, that song actually was a song, again, that was supposed to go on my solo record.
Oh.
And I wrote it specifically for that.
Yeah.
But at the time, if you recall, didn't nobody know what Mike Bivins, Ricky Bell, and Ronnie DeVoe was going to do. Didn't nobody know. Matter of fact, people that already counted them a bust. They already counted them out before they even started.
Yeah.
We were the first, Wilkie, my partner, Alton Wilkie Stewart, and I were the first producers to work with them, period.
Okay.
Before Spider-Man and Freeze, before Hank Shockley, before everyone else. So we actually wrote 5 songs for them. But MCA only used the 2 ballads. But they were the 2 strongest ballads. And that song was mine. It was mine. It was like, it was about me, my life, and my girl and my wife. It's like, you get in an argument, you don't even have time to make amends because you out on the road again.
Yeah.
And you come back and thinking things gonna change, but a woman still holds on to it and remember the fight y'all had before you left. And the only thing you thinking about, oh, sex is gonna fix it. No, it isn't. They want to talk. They want to clear some things up emotionally, mentally. Then the physical will come later if mentally you can make her feel secure again. So the song I wrote was "Tell Me When Will I See You Smile Again."
Yeah, powerful track. I think the question that somebody asked was that when Guy came out and they were performing and stuff, and they went back into their second album. Were you with one eye looking at what was happening with them? Did you guys make up, or was it just like, I'm in LA, you guys are there, and we're being cross paths?
Never ever. Even still to today, like Teddy and I have met 2 or 3 times. Matter of fact, I just talked like last week and the week before, me and Teddy just basically talked on the phone for a short period and through, social media and his email and my email. Aaron and I, we started talking every single morning for a long time, like a month ago. And everybody, Christopher Woods, everybody started talking, but we never, like Aaron, what's different about it is, I think I lost you.
Yeah, I'm now here.
Oh, okay, good. I think it never was officially an apology. It never was officially, what we did wasn't right. It was bullshit, and it shouldn't have happened that way. It was always, they passed the buck. Oh, it wasn't me, it was him. It wasn't him, man. And Teddy come from this standpoint, that's done, that's over with, we different people now. It's like, no, you still have to truly make amends. I feel you still have to apologize. You still have to admit to my responsibility and my accountability was wrong. We were a group. Before we brought Gene back in, we did this together. We was children. And I went off and became this big producer and became the lead singer of a group that I never intended me to be the lead singer. And it wasn't right. God was gonna bless all of us anyway. But I still haven't received an official apology. And yes, I've talked to them, many times throughout the years, but there was never an official apology because when that train was running up, I didn't hear from them at all.
So okay, so even when they were doing the Future album, did at that point in time, I think, Bill, this was 1990 or so. So you were working on quite a lot of things at that time. Were you watching and rooting, or did you have any thoughts about what they were doing at that point?
Never. I never. Of course, anybody I will be lying to you if I said once a group and you heard the name that God gave you and a group come on and put out a record that your attention ain't gonna go there. But I had so many other people coming to me. You always have those people that's coming to you saying, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Have you heard this? And they have it in plan for you. This is what someone said. This is how it's going on. Timmy, listen to this. How could this person say that? I was there. And that's how it was.
Yeah.
So when the Future record came out, I seen the video because they debuted it on BET. But once I saw Teddy singing lead, I was like, the direction, the whole mission of the group has went sideways.
Mm-hmm. I guess it explains the difference between the original Guy album and the Future, because the sound was quite different. The Future sounded very a little bit more mechanical and stuff, and it seems to have lost the soul that the original album had. But I think most of us didn't really understand, just thought, well, that's how time moves on and stuff. But I can now.
No, that wasn't how time was. It was a total different vision. It didn't have the same. I mean, I don't care if you hear Earth, Wind, and Fire in 1972 compared to 1990, whether you liked the song or didn't like the song, or even today, they still have that same formula.
Yeah.
You get those horn structures, you get those bass lines, you get those marvelous background singing, you get that Philip Bailey, and you get that who's a Maurice White combination.
Yeah.
You know, Guy, literally in 1 year, you go totally bananas and flip a whole sound. I didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. The only song that I thought was decent, but it was so separate from the rest of the album, was Let's Chill.
Yeah.
It was a decent ballad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a strong ballad. Like, you couldn't put Let's Chill up to Piece of My Love and Goodbye Love.
Yeah.
You couldn't put it.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. If people like the song, but you could put, I'll tell you, I don't give a damn where I am. Play Let's Chill. Then I'm going to come in and play Piece of My Love. And you tell me which one is better.
Yeah.
I play Goodbye Love. You tell me which one is better.
Yeah.
And that's how I saw it. I could play all my ballads. I could play When Will I See You Smile Again? I could play I Do Need You, Promises, Promises. You tell me which one is better. So that song, it was just the song was exactly what it was. If you want to chill out, play the song. If you want to make love and you want to make up to your woman, play my songs.
Yeah. Now, I noticed you did Make You Sweat, but then Keith talks about bringing Teddy in to do some of the, do a little bit of the remix on it. That's
a lot. That's a lot. And I still got mad love for Keith. Teddy did the whole first album.
Yeah.
Okay? But by the time Guy came out and Teddy and Gene became GR Productions, they started charging everybody a lot of money to do one track. Keith Sweat is very frugal with his money, so he didn't have that. He couldn't use Teddy. He could not use Teddy, period. Teddy never touched Make You Sweat. If Teddy had a touch Make You Sweat or whatever Keith is saying, his name would have been on it. Period. Teddy's name would have been on it. Because at that point in time, Teddy was hot. Keith, I was just starting to become a producer. This is way before Chris, Belle Biv DeVoe, Ralph, Jasmine Guy, all of that. And Stephanie Miller. Keith knew where the sound came from. Because we all grew up together. Keith knew that I was the lyricist songwriter. Because we all grew up together. Keith watched us grow up. Keith is like 3-4 years older than me and Teddy.
Wow.
Probably older than that. Keith and I used to ride the train together, fussing on the train. Because Keith worked on Wall Street and I was going to high school. So we would fuss on the train about whose song's going to be better and whatever. By that time, Keith was working on his second record with a lot of pressure on him. The sophomore album is always more pressure than the first.
Yeah.
But he didn't have Teddy. So Keith is he's a dope songwriter within his own right. But he had a lot of ballads on his record. But he needed that signature up-tempo to bust his album out. And Keith came and met me in the same building I grew up in at my mother's house, because I just happened to be in New York. And Keith drove a brand new white Acura at that time. And Keith begged me to come to the studio with him. Begged me. Because no star like Keith, who your first album went 2 million, you come looking for little old me. That's facts. So that night, I told Keith what I wanted. Keith gave me what I wanted. We went down to Chungking Studios and I wrote Make You Sweat. And Keith did not want to use his name. He did not want to do none of that, but it was a #1 hit. And every time I hear that song, I don't hear no Teddy Riley. I hear Bobby Wooten, I hear me, and I hear Keith and Wokey. Alton Wokey Stewart sung backgrounds. Because Alton Wokey was under my wing. And I called Wokey to the studio. You gonna sing the song exactly like this. These are the lyrics. You gonna sing, and Wokey sung Make You Sweat.
Wow.
There's no other additives. Now, if Teddy did a remix somewhere, whatever, I don't know about that. But for this song, whatever, this song that we did, Make You Sweat, Teddy had nothing to do with it. Period.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as I said, that's why it's important to get your side, because when you trades, magazines and stuff, because if you're silent, it could be written here and there and everywhere. Because as I said, people probably realize, oh, he worked on the first album, more than likely did something there. As I said, those who don't really see.
Just look at the credit. And I had to fight for my credits. I didn't play. I couldn't play. Teddy's name is not nowhere on Make You Sweat. Period. It's just that we had that similar style. But Teddy, when I did Make You Sweat, Teddy had moved on. The future was something totally different from what I did with Keith. It was totally different. The first Sky album, you can't even, it sounded like two totally different groups.
Yeah.
Period. It became more hip hop, more leather jackets, more Doc Marten boots and black jeans.
Yeah.
That wasn't us. That's what they turned into.
Before Gene passed on, did you ever run into him at all?
Never. Didn't want to. Never. And I give him props for basically protecting us, showing us lifestyle, fashion, and how to maneuver in this industry by watching him do what he shouldn't have done. But I still say he took advantage of young kids. He took advantage of a lot of people. He took advantage of the gifts that we had. And that's what I've known him for. And I never had a chance to say whatever. I never made amends, or never. No.
Yeah. I know that loads of people then, one of the questions somebody asked was about, now you've demonstrated earlier by when you were singing some of your lyrics, but did you continue over the last couple of years still singing, but not either publicly or just at home, or what was?
You mean now?
Yeah, because that's what. Yeah, since
now I'm vice president of Urban Music for Pop Life Global Universal. So I'm vice president of Urban and Latin Music. So a lot of my business now is administration.
Oh.
And I also, supervise movies. So that's what I do. Like I told Elise, I called her at 4-something in the morning because China and, the States are 17-hour difference.
Yeah. So
I just went to bed at like 5 in the morning, and I called her like at 4:30, so I'm getting ready to go to bed. So I had this meeting. I just reminded myself when the meeting was, because I was out of it. But I got myself together.
Wow.
Around 1 o'clock, took a shower and stuff to really be with you. But yeah, so I'm in the administration side of it, still write and produce. But certain artists that I love, still basically trying to reacclimate myself with certain artists and whatever, because I've been focusing on publishing and the business side of it.
Okay. So the actual performance side, have you lost?
No, I haven't performed, man. I haven't performed in, woo, Jesus. I haven't performed in 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 28 years. Don't mean I can still do it though.
Yeah.
But I would have to get in shape, condition, whatever. But I still play my piano and bass all the time. So That's not the point. It's just physically getting conditioned for that.
I mean, because so people have asked. I mean, as I said, a couple of people started asking, could you imagine, even if it was a one-off show or like a charity event or like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, could you see yourself and Aaron and Teddy just doing one of those BET Legends or Soul Train sort of stuff and just having a one-off performance? And
of course, I think Teddy has already tried to do it in so many different venues and avenues by having Damien and Aaron and Blackstreet, but there's so many different members, but no one never really saw me, myself, and Aaron, Damien, and Teddy together. I'll tell you what, if we put our heads together, we don't have to be best friends, but it'd be multi-million dollars. Million, if we do 2-3 shows. You know, if we do 2 or 3 shows, we don't even have to, we could just rehearse, leave, rehearse, say what's up, get that bag. It will be sold out. I've told this on other interviews. I believe personally that if people really knew the 4 of us were back together, it would sell out in hours. Hours.
Yeah, I know.
Live Nation, anybody put it together, it would sell out in hours.
What about recording new material? Because obviously the skill of writing hasn't left, and it's like a McCartney, Lennon, yourself and Teddy, LA and Babyface. You know, Babyface could write, but having LA with the sort of the percussions and the sort of the rhythms, it just married.
Right.
Could you ever see yourselves, even if the guy stuff was still harder to pull off, but the collaboration on a track?
Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. I believe when you put 2 people back together who had that touch, that just like 2 old siblings meeting that was adopted by different parents, once they meet up again, they just hug and cry and they start speaking for each other almost like you go back in the time.
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible if you put those elements back together, like you said. It's like the only thing that bothers me is I've seen white rock groups do it.
Yeah.
I even seen Ozzy Osbourne. I was looking at Black Sabbath, like Ozzy Osbourne last night. I'm like, okay, they kicked him out the group. They did all this to Ozzy. He became a superstar in his own right. Now you got 4 old white men still able to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And reunite.
Yeah.
I hold no animosity. It's like the Bible is like I felt like Joseph. I hold no animosity. Y'all sent me to the slaves. God, what you intended bad for me, God made good for me. I get it. Okay, now let's get the bag. Let's get that bag, because it's out there. It's too many people with the same questions you have. What about if y'all 4 got back together? Oh my God. Because you done saw Teddy. You done saw Damien try to sing his brother's songs. You done saw Aaron and Teddy. You done saw Teddy, Damien, and Aaron. Okay, we got that. But everybody, 33 years later, everybody's still wondering, okay, what about the original guy? What about Timmy Gatling? Didn't he create it? Didn't he do this? Well, what's going on? And if we got back together, I think it'd be remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, we have to really appreciate. I think the final question we had was that if you were stuck in a lift and stuff, and you had to watch a movie, and they said, "Look, 3 hours, we can put a movie for you." What would you pick to watch?
My favorite movie. What would I pick? Once Upon a Time in America.
Is that the Denzel one?
No, Once Upon a Time in America with Robert De Niro. And it's a gangster movie, but the movie reminded me so much of us. You have to see the movie.
I'm gonna have to look for that.
It's called Once Upon a Time in America. Wow. It was a big, huge movie. A huge movie. But I give you a little synopsis. It's about 2 friends that were young kids together. And they did, stole a little. It's set back in the 20s. They stole a little bit of whatever. Two friends that was the leader. It was four guys, but it was two friends. They came up together. Robert De Niro went in prison for a little bit, but when he got out, now they moved the crime up, the criminal behavior to, okay, now they robbing banks and now they work for this big gangster, whatever. But what's the other man's name? But Robert De Niro and the other friend, they started to get off into politics. But Robert De Niro was basically, listen, we do what we do, but I want this simple life over here. Where the other one was more, I want to get into politics. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, then he stole Robert De Niro woman. He started claiming all the fame for himself. He started sabotaging Robert De Niro. But at the end of the movie, when Robert De Niro they reunited, they old men now. And Robert De Niro confronted him. Even though he gained all this wealth and political power, and he had a woman that really didn't belong to him, but so she was miserable. He went and threw himself in a garbage can compactor because he couldn't live with himself.
Wow. Okay.
But that movie was so deep. It's called Once Upon a Time in America.
I'm gonna check it out. What about song? Because they said, okay, we're gonna put this movie on for you, but let's put a song for you to. Let's put a song. What would you pick if you had that one song to play?
Frankie Beverly and Maze, Before I Let Go.
Oh wow! Wow, why that song?
I love it. And listen to the lyrics. That song, it was like that. Matter of fact, I'll never forget. My big sister took me and my it's 7 of us, but she took the 3 siblings to the Frankie Beverly. It was Kool and the Gang, Frankie Beverly and Maze, and I forgot the other. But lyrically, I've always, and I think that really guided and directed what type of songs I wanted to write. Very simple but powerful. And the song is "You Made Me Happy."
Yeah.
It's like that's like, and then it's like, even though we breaking up, but let me tell you this before I let go. What the?
Okay.
It's so simple, but meaningful and strong. It's like, and then the beat, the bass line, simple but powerful. If that song didn't have that, and that's how, if you listen to the first God record, simple bass lines but powerful.
Yeah.
If you listen to what I did for Keith, Christopher Williams, Bell Biv DeVoe, simple bass lines but powerful.
Yeah.
Like on Bell Biv DeVoe, I used the fretless bass line. Boom, doo, doo, doom, doom, boom, doom, doom, doom. But everything else, simple but strong. And I wrote like that.
Wow.
Don't, bump, don't. It's like, come on. Boom, don't. Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
After that, if I had to play that, if that song stayed on for hours, I could live with that.
Yeah, you could.
I could live with that. Before I let go, you made me happy. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, I can feel. Come on, it's a rap.
Yeah, it is.
I'm good.
No, you've been a legend. It's been amazing to go through the album with you, to hear your story, your journey. As I said, for fans around the world who have been, you come up with an album that creates a genre and spawns fans, and music isn't the same, as you might attest. Being a label executive, it's quick and fast. No one's releasing 7 tracks on an album anymore. No one's going to the Apollo to sing live or any of that stuff. So there's a lot of us that have missed that, and we're not we missed the real lyrics, the stuff that, Ready for the World was written, Frankie Beverly and Maze, those sort of slow songs that really talk about pure love, and we don't get that. And so it's been a privilege to listen to how you created your songs, and because no one knows who wrote any of the stuff because it's not written in there. Even if you go to anywhere, it won't tell you who wrote what or how it came about. So
that was basically to disguise everything like it. And if you look at the credits, it has Gene Griffin, Teddy Riley, myself, and Aaron Hall. Yeah. It's like Gene Griffin was never a writer.
Yeah.
But that's what he did. But they had to release that album, I would say this, and I'm glad I did it. But me being out the group and not signing that contract allotted me and afforded me to do a lot of different things. And they had to basically pay me, handsomely to release the album.
Wow.
Yeah, I got paid very handsomely for them to release that record.
Looking back at how your life has turned out, family and everything, when you look back and think, if I had been a star, an R&B star, and that life, would you look and think things would have been different, because just the limelight and all the pressures and that compared to the direction you took behind the scenes?
Yeah, I would have. I'll be honest with you, that I thought about that, and I had many different emotions and thoughts. But when I pray about it, I'm glad that I went on the way, the path that God put me on. Because if I would have just fell in line and been subservient to Gene and not tried to cause drama, after talking to Aaron and Damien, literally talking to them, to find out all these years, the only thing they lived off of was show money, was horrible. It was sad to me. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel good about it. It was very sad to me. It was like, yes, I would have had the fame, but I wouldn't have learned the business. I wouldn't have been able to retain my publishing. I wouldn't have been able to call shots with just my attorneys. I wouldn't have been able to be married for this long. I wouldn't have been able to have my children in private school, and they all have degrees, and still they're tight knit. Like, I have 2 girls and a son, 28 to 22, and they all are tight knit. My baby girl is finishing up her college at NLV. So God has blessed me, and He's first and foremost in my life. And I'm still able to go and talk. And now I'm in a position where I'm vice president of a China-based / universal company that I didn't ask for. It fell in my lap, and they paid me handsomely. And so I really don't take I try to be kind and courteous, but I don't take bullshit from people, because I haven't seen it all, but I've witnessed a lot of things that I would never want to go back to. When I was young, I cried like a baby. Yeah. But if I found myself on tour for 30 years because of our fans and they like us, but I was broke, I wouldn't have been happy with that. I would have been miserable. Yeah. I would want to commit suicide.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that when I first connected with you, I noticed that a man of faith, and I guess it's that sense of having a sense that with your faith, God knew then what was going to happen, and sort of said, you may not like it now, but later on you'd understand, looking back. And so it's good to be able to reflect and see, yeah, you know what, it was hurtful then, but if I had stayed in that, God knows what life would have turned out to be.
Exactly. That's perfect. And that's exactly the way it was. It was perfect because God really guided and directed my path. I mean, when I felt like people didn't care, they didn't. It was proven. They didn't care whether I was dead and alive. They never asked about my mother. And me and Teddy used to eat breakfast at my house as a little boy, dinners. we were close. And Teddy never reached out. When my mother passed away, I didn't hear from Teddy. Aaron knew all of my family. But Teddy, the most longest, because we were so young together.
Yeah.
And if that person was able to go off and didn't care, just because I meet new people don't mean that, I'm very reluctant to really meet new people and all of a sudden bring them into my camp or embrace them. Like, if it happens, it's being known to me. It's got to be something from God. But normally, and I've been like that for so many years. I haven't been on social media. I never came out against Teddy and Aaron publicly. Never, and said anything. For all these years. Why is that? Because I felt like, okay, listen, if that's what they need to live off of, fine. God has blessed me. I'm good.
Yeah.
Every song that they play, every song that they put out, every song other artists can do or whatever, I have to sign off on it. Period. So if what makes your boat float is to tell these different stories, okay, that's cool with you. Just don't keep telling them about me. And that's what irked me. If you want to tell a different story about the group or how the group was formed and whatever, but when you start talking about how Timmy left the group, how Timmy did this, how Gene told Timmy this, that's bullshit. First of all, I wasn't that type of kid. I didn't care. Gene was a gangster, but so was my family. I didn't give a fuck about Gene like that. I liked him and loved him because he was that father figure that was fly. But I used to yell at Gene. I'm 16, 17, said, that ain't true. I used to talk like that. So Gene never smacked me up. Gene ain't never put his hands on me because my family and the crew in my block would have been down in that office. Gene knew it. Teddy knew it. I didn't come from that, just a little kid that wasn't connected. Anybody could get it. Whether you good or bad, anybody could get it. I never would. And Gene saw that confidence in me even then. So what do you do when a person has a group and now you want to take over the group? The first thing anybody do, just like businesses, corporations, whatever, when a takeover comes, you get rid of the old staff. You bring in your crew.
Yeah.
Gene had to get rid of me because he felt like I had too much influence over Teddy and Aaron, and he was right. I just didn't know it was gonna be that easy.
Yeah.
And it was easy.
Yeah. But I think one of the things you sort of summarize towards the end is very much a story of destiny, as much as because the gifting to create the songs and the sound and the vision of everything and how it was taken away. But you've always maintained that God has been behind you in everything, and that if they couldn't have taken it away without him saying, I know what I'm doing for you in the long run. And so that's the narrative I've received from listening to your whole stories, that you had God on your side all this time and he knew what was happening for the bigger purpose for yourself and family and everything. And that's been amazing to hear, as much as you admitted it was tough then, but being able to reflect now.
Woo! It was so tough. If it wasn't for my wife, if it wasn't for close friends, if it wasn't for my partner, Alton Wilkie Stewart, who I gotta say, they always lift me up. Because I was still a little damaged, even when I was writing hits. I was still writing hits for these people. And a lot of times my partner had to say, hey, Tim, shake that shit off. I got you. It was you. Prove it was you. Write these hits.
Yeah.
And that was part of what brought me through. And my mother and my family, they were like, listen, this, I ain't gonna say what they said, but anyway, it was like, yo, this is what we do. Yeah. We got it. Yeah. And even though I like to move smooth, like I like to move quietly but deadly. I've always been that way. Yeah. I've always been that way, where you think I'm flashy to a sense of, I love to dress. When you see me, I can wear the expensive jewelry and I could not wear it. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah. But when I show up, you know, who is this? And then you find out, oh, this is this person. Why haven't I heard from him before? why I haven't done this before?
Yeah.
And so I've always moved that way.
Yeah.
So I'm not one to, oh, look at me. Look at my suit. Look at all the music I did. Look at all of this.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've never been that way. So it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. It's been a great track back in memory, but it's been inspiring to hear for a lot of people who, if we have setbacks, and it could be tough. You mentioned Joseph, just, if you have your faith, really rely on that, because I think Donnie McClurkin says that we fall down, but we get up. Kind of
we
thing.
Get up.
Yeah. And so it's really inspiring to hear that.
He's in the hospital right now. So prayers up for Donnie.
Definitely. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, thanks.
And thank Elise for making it happen.
Yeah.